segment, Owl Theory, where I'm taking the opinion of my wise lineage. So here today, you have myself, Nikiki Bojong, and coming today to talk to me will be my mother. And go ahead, Mom, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Dorita Williamson, and I'm Mom.
Yes, and how about my uncles?
Well, my name is James Curd, and I'm here.
All right, thanks for joining.
And my name is Reginald Johnson, and I'm the baby of this clan.
Absolutely. Well, I thank you so much for joining us. And hopefully we'll have more of my wise uncles and aunts joining at some time. But today we're just going to start on basically just excavating some of the roots of our past to empower the legacy of our future. And so so you only had knowledge of Grandma Dovey. What was her
grandpa?
role?
Yeah, grandma and grandpa.
Okay. So speak to how basically, you know, her role was as a woman in those times. What was her position? Did she work out of home? What was her interactions with other women?
I don't know.
As you perceived it.
You probably would have to ask Dorita now, because I never spent too much time with grandma. She was okay when we were younger, because she taught me how to play the piano. That's what I remember. I remember good times with grandma. When mom would leave and it would be us there.
The grandmother I know, Dovey Donaldson, was older when we were younger because our mother was her baby girl. And she had mama probably a little bit later in life. Reggie can probably give you the dates. I don't remember, but he can give you the dates as far as, you know, how old grandma was, how old mama was. The difference between them, I don't really know. But to me, she was always a mean old lady.
She was. Yeah, she was.
Jeanette could tell you some stories. If she was here, she could tell you some stories.
She know grandma real good.
About, and they're not nice. Grandma, as far as I know, grandma had favorites, and
yes, she did.
Aunt Bernice's oldest girl was her favorite, Shirley, and Shirley's still alive, by the way.
Yes, she is. I talked to her.
Nice to have her.
She got to talk to Jeanette. Huh?
Yeah. She loves talking. She'll love talking to you. But anyway,
that'd be nice to have as her guest. I love that.
She'll have the whole floor. You just have one little session with Shirley.
She can talk. All you gotta do is turn her loose.
And she got some stories too. But anyway, so the grandmother I knew, I tried to learn to play the piano with her. She was very impatient about that. I tried to be close to her. She wasn't having it.
She was a hard person.
She was very,
you know, she, like I said, she was hard too.
Other women, like you say, she was a God-fearing woman, so possibly she went to church. I mean, how was her other interaction with other women?
Maybe I can tell you this. Number one, I don't know no God-fearing grandma. I never seen her go to no church, and the church was right next door to her.
Now,
Reggie may have a different view of grandma.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you think that might have been, you know, something that, you know, is passed down, that this is the way women need to be married? In her time, that was, women aren't supposed to be single.
I think it is. From what I know from doing genealogy, women back in those days had a hard time because all they were supposed to do was bear kids and do nothing else.
Clean house, keep the house clean.
Keep house clean, bear kids, and don't do nothing else.
Don't forget to cook.
Oh yeah, because also at the same exact time, even though James and Dorita, and by extension, Jeanette, Dorothy, and all the rest of them have a different have a version of Grandmother Dovey. From what I've learned from Lizzie King, the way that she sat here and handled the children, she passed that on from her to Dovey.
Okay.
When she passed it on to Dovey, the problem was beyond Grandmother Dovey having her favorites. The problem was our mom really wasn't her favorite. But we'll say that she wasn't her favorite. So literally speaking, yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's what I mean by not favorite, because guess what? Every time, or put it this way, I'll leave it at me. James and Dorita have a different opinion. But when it came to me, my school was right across the street, which was Pearly High School. I mean, Pearly Grade, right across the street. Okay. Somebody asked me, why didn't you go to your grandmother's house? Because literally, it was not one of my favorite places to go. So when school was out, I made a beeline for home. Beeline. Didn't stop by Aunt Katie's house. I mean, Grand Dovey's house. Just didn't do it. No, because she wasn't nice to my mom and she wasn't nice to me. Now, none. She cut us absolutely no slack. Now, because Dorothy and Jeanette are older than anybody's talking today, when they sit there tell you they got a sense of Lizzie King, which is her mother, my understanding what it is, it was a stern hand. And when I say stern, I mean stern. There wasn't no ifs, ands, buts about it.
Okay. Okay. And it's surprising because I know that they say that, you know, as time goes along, that a lot of times we get a little bit more lax about, you know, what our children do versus our grandchildren and great grandchildren. And I don't remember Grandma Dovey being stern. Now I do remember her being kind of favoritism, like, yes, I'll teach this one piano, but I won't teach this one. And I thought, that's not fair. I want to learn. So I do remember those type of things, but most times
she'd
like,
always make sure
I knew who she was. I experienced being at her house. I experienced, you know, the chicken coop and her living next door to church forever, you know. But and
I went to that church twice.
I do want to say this. My grandmother Dovey, she was a hard worker. She would make lye soap in her backyard with a big old,
I remember that, in the bathtub.
She had the most beautiful garden of strawberries and rhubarbs and grapes.
She knew how to grow that stuff.
She had a beautiful garden, and she had the best yard in the world. Plus, she was industrious. She had a little house behind her house. There was and she was always renting it out. Mind you, to men, but she was always renting it out. And yeah, she was a hard worker. She could, you know, she could do a lot. She'd do laundry. She was just, most of her life, she was a hard worker. I'm going to give her that. Yes.
But also, Dorita, you have to remember that during that time when Grandmother Liza and Grandmother Dovey were growing up, the only job for Black women at the time was a laundress or a washwoman. Okay. That's all they did. So I understand that, yes, she was very good at what she does, but that's all she knew.
Okay.
But along with that, she didn't pass any of that on to school.
None.
Let me correct myself, because Aunt Katie was a beautiful gardener.
Yeah, she was.
Gardens.
She always had a good garden.
So Aunt Katie was a gardener. She kind of probably was most like Grandma Dovey. Aunt Bernice was different.
Aunt
Bernice was Grandma's favorite. Really, Aunt Bernice, because Aunt Katie would tell you stories. She said her mama got her out of the house younger. You know, Aunt Bernice was really her favorite.
And so do you think that, you know, because based on what you're saying, that somehow that our parents put that competition, that woman-to-woman competition or man-to-man competition in us from very young, because we are vying for their, you know, whatever their favoritism,
Affection,
daddy
attention, and
girl,
all this.
attention, approval, you know.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think mom meant to be that way.
Mom was stern too.
I know she stern, yes, but
She
I
was
know
stern.
she loved
Didn't
us. There's
play.
no doubt in my mind that my mom loved all of us.
Oh yeah, she did. She
I
did, but she was the way
said-
she was. She
I
loved all of
said
us.
she had favorites. She liked her boys more than her girls, but it took me years to understand why. You know, it took me about 20 years after she died to understand why she did so much for her boys. And since I was the only girl that was in that mix, she didn't do. It's almost like she felt I could take care of myself, and I never understood that until later on after she died.
So I know that you spoke to Uncle Reggie that about the fact that this was all that she knew how to do. So that's why that's all she could do. So do you think that I don't know, could she read and write? Is that the situation for women of that time, that the reason why they were limited to these type of struggles, either being just a homemaker or taking these type of jobs, was because they didn't have the education, or or those jobs weren't even available to them if they did have some sort of education?
That's pretty much what it was. That the jobs weren't available to. Back in them times, women had it hard. They had it hard. They couldn't just go in, and Black women especially, you know, because they're known as housekeepers. They're known as women working in laundry. You see what I'm saying? All this comes from way back when. So that's the kind of jobs they had to offer them. They didn't want them because that's some hellified work, but they did them because they had families, they had kids they had to take care of, they had things they had to do, just like that man. I don't know now. I can only go one side with that.
Yeah, right.
But
Before we move forward, let me say this.
Yes, go ahead.
Grandma was a smart woman.
yes, she was. Mama was too.
She was a single Black woman.
Yep.
Owned
And she had
her
to take care of
own
herself. I'm
And-
sorry.
She also owned that property that the church was built on. Grandma could count money. I don't know what her education level is, but she was smart. She never had to ask her kids for nothing. She paid all her bills. She took care of herself. And I don't know, she never talked about money, but she had in her little house, which belonged to her, she took care of everything. Like I said, and she rented out the back. She probably got a lot of money selling the property to the church. All of that, including there was a little shop that was next to her house on the other side. I remember that.
Like a barber shop. Oh, yeah, it was.
All of that was hers.
Yeah.
Don't say grandma.
So I was trying to remember, but I thought so, but
Grandma was a smart woman. She
Yeah,
was.
she was. Yeah, she
Now,
was.
it didn't benefit.
Just
she
like
sure did.
who? Then James, if she had
I
three
didn't know
husbands,
that.
who was her third husband, James?
Let me see. Bill was the first one. Was it? No, Bill
Yes.
wasn't the first one. Because Bill died of the skin disease. He had this
Yes.
skin disease to where his skin was, to where he turned into a white man before he died.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the first one. The second one, I can't think of him. I cannot think of his name.
His name was William Henry Kerr.
Yeah.
Let me clarify. It was grandmother Dubby that had three husbands.
Okay.
Everybody, to include Aunt Katie, Aunt Bernice, Mama probably only knew about two of them.
I
But
knew
there
about
was a third
Grandpa.
man. So
I
who
knew
was the
about
third?
Grandpa.
All right. So
Oh.
if either one of y'all can tell me who was the third person.
I don't. I don't know.
Okay. It was a gentleman by the name of A.P. Moore. I never heard about it. I just found it.
Oh.
So yes, she was married to three guys. Now, what she gained from all three guys, I don't know. I know she gained her independence to do what she had to do. Now, Dorita has just told me that I learned something, that actually she owned the property that the church was on, and the property which is on the right side of her at the time when I was younger. I knew that as somebody's repair shop.
That's what it was. It
It
was
was
everything.
it was an auto service center. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
it was
yes.
everything. Yeah.
But I did
Used to
not
be an
know.
auto service center.
Yeah, but I did not know Grandma owned that. So, being as that may, when Grandma passed away, and it wasn't no husbands, I don't know who actually the will was done. I'm going to assume that basically the oldest daughter, which happened to be Aunt Katie, was the one who took charge of that.
Yep.
Uncle T has one girl and one boy. I've been able to verify the boy, but the other girl, I can't get a hold of her records until 2025. That is exactly 20 years after she died.
Oh,
I know of those two. Now, there was another girl in the house, but she did not want to take any credit for William Curry being her father. I mean, correct. Right. Yeah, so they won't take no credit for that one. So she did not take any credit for it. But as it stands right now, yeah, genealogy wise, she was married to three people.
Oh, okay.
And by chance, by the time she married the third person, she did not tell anybody that she got married to him. That's why no family member knows that. Because anybody who was alive that could have told us, first thing the family did is that whatever your business was, keep it to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we're at. Yes.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you for that. Now, basically, let's go on to the men. Now,
okay.
So, you said that basically here we are, Grandma Dovey had three husbands, and the one that is directed to us would be Grandpa Curd.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so explain, I mean, was
Uncle Homer and Uncle OT, which were her two boys.
Yes.
She had two boys. She had Uncle Homer and Uncle OT.
Okay.
And one of them stayed in Detroit. I can't think of which one it was. Homer. Yeah, he
Uncle Homer.
Yeah.
But as far as the men go,
and they had kids.
As far as Grandpa Will Curd, we did not really know him until he got sick. He was and
we knew him a little bit before he got sick too, because he lived with us for a while.
And that's what I'm talking about. We didn't know him, period, until he got sick. And Mom went to Illinois and brought him to our house. Mom and Dad went to Illinois and brought him to our house. And he remained with us until he died, which was, I can't remember how many years he was with us, honestly. Maybe Reggie could tell us how many years, because Reggie was probably
young
in elementary school.
Yes.
He was still
Zachary both. Him and Zachary both. He didn't care too much for me and Zachary, but Reggie was his favorite. He loved him. He sure did.
Okay, James, since you sat there and said that, I don't know Grandpa very well, so tell me what you know about Grandpa.
My grandpa, I feel sorry for him because he was a drunk. He used to drink old granddad, and he had to have his liter a day, because that's what he was drinking, a liter a day. Mama knew this. Mama didn't want to go get him because they had a problem. I don't know what it was, but I don't think they liked each other that much. But mom loved him by him being her daddy. Her and daddy went and got and went because he called her and he begged her to come and stay with us because he was out of his options. He didn't have nowhere to go. So that's why they went and picked him up and brought him to our house. And then they brought him in and introduced him as our grandfather.
Okay, so what I'm saying is this.
Yeah.
As what I've always told all my sisters and all my brothers, that the majority of the time, being the youngest person in the family, there's information about our family that I don't know. Right now, the information you just told me about Grandpa, I have never heard that.
So let me input a little bit of in between here.
Yes.
Because Mama has always had a relationship with Aunt Martha, which was grandfather's.
Yeah, Aunt Martha and Uncle Johnny.
No,
not with Grandpa.
Not that.
Not with Grandpa.
That's her mama's siblings and his wife. They were just the two of them. But she's always had a relationship with Aunt Martha and her children, and Aunt Callie and her children. These are the ones that live in Toledo. Aunt Martha at the time was living in Toledo. Both of these are Grandpa's sisters. The three of them were the babies. So he was the baby boy. Well, I don't know if they had people younger, but I do know those three always stuck together. And Kelly didn't drink at all, but she loved Aunt Martha and Grandpa. Now, those two sisters were the ones that motivated Mom to bring Grandpa into our home, because she always kept a relationship with them. She always visited them. We knew them. We would go dance and sing with the family when we were young. You know, we always kicked it with Grandpa's sisters side of the family, those younger sisters side of the family. Kelly, I believe, Aunt Kelly was the baby. And but those three always hung together. They're the ones who encouraged Mom to go get their brother. And then they all used to meet at our house, and Mom would fix them her big dinners, and they loved her. She loved them. And so they encouraged him to take a house. And so when he first came to our house, yes, he had a problem, but then he had a stroke. And so they came more often after he had the stroke.
How old was I when that happened?
When did he die? What
Grandpa hold on. Grandpa died in hold on. Okay, computer, come on. Grandpa died in 1970. February.
What?
1970.
70?
Yes, 70.
So he had been in our house for a while.
Okay.
Because you were born the following year, weren't you? So I was
going to Crowley School.
I was 15 when he died. So he came to our house. I remember, because Reggie is 6 years young. Reggie must have been about 4, because I can remember being 10 when he first came to our house.
Okay.
He lived with you guys for a long time.
Yeah, he lived with us not
a long time, but
he loved snuff. He would be chewing that stuff, and you could smell it. He'd have a little spit, a can that he kept. I remember that. And at first, so he would be sitting on the porch chewing his snuff, drinking his alcohol. That's what I remembered about him. And really, he didn't bother anybody, really, unless it's something with Reggie. You can't pick at Reggie. He tried to chase you. He couldn't go nowhere. But And I'm gonna be honest, I did kind of pick at him a little bit because he was mean to me, but he just let Reggie get away. Reggie would hit you and say, I said, I didn't do anything. You didn't believe me.
Oh, that's cute. I like that.
So then from a distance, I would make faces at him. Because I knew he couldn't catch me. I was terrible, but I was bad girl. Bad girl.
So now in that context, since you guys were, you know, in a position that you only met your grandfather in a position where he was ill, how about, you know, a position of a father figure who, you know, what was his role? I mean, if Grandma Dovey had to do laundry and stuff, someone, you know, and she made smart business practices, you know, and then Grandma Violet, she did work outside the house, but, you know, it's so much needing two incomes that what was the position that men felt like they took in that time, or what was their position in the family structure?
Now that's
They
really
bring in the
hard to
money.
say. That's really hard to say.
They bring in the money.
That's what Pop did, but I don't think that's what Will.
But then that fills his position in the household. It's supposed to be love, but you know, the
Okay,
money was
James.
more important.
Then I'm gonna ask you a question, James. If a man was only there to bring in money, where do you think that come from?
From his father and his other father and his other father, and that's how they did it back then.
Okay,
but hold up, now they got to help that woman have that baby. I don't know, they ain't doing no cooking. You know, this is back then. They ain't doing no cooking, and they help that woman have that baby. But they ain't doing no laundry either. They
Now we're guessing.
All they did was go to work.
We're guessing because I don't know anything that Grandpa did for Grandma Dovey.
He didn't do nothing, but he didn't do nothing.
I don't know because
that's what
I've never seen him with my grandmother.
Only because I do genealogy. I probably know the most about the whole entire family. So yes, Grandpa didn't do very much, but you also have to remember what Grandpa did was exactly what men, and I mean white men, black men, doesn't matter what the species was. They did exactly what men did in the old days, meaning basically they go out and earn some money, they go drink it up, and then they go home, and Lord help me, then they make about 20 or 40 kids.
Okay.
That's exactly what I said.
But Grandpa only made one with our grandmother, and
yes,
that made us.
Yes, but that's only by chance that happened. I guarantee you, for what I know, it isn't like they did not try. Because the only other person that can verify, the only person I can verify that it happened with is with Dad. The only other person. Otherwise, been back in them times, that's all they did. Now, even if you disagree with what I said, there's a movie out there that's called Fences. You should see it. That is a prime example of what men did in the old days.
Now I have to say this. Uncle Johnny's work ethic and family ethic was far above his father's.
Yes.
Because Uncle Johnny married who was Pop to me. He married a woman in his youth, and he was with her till the day she died.
Yes.
And he worked 2, sometimes 3 jobs. He built a home. They never had any children, but he took care of so many people in his lifetime. You know, I have found out he paid for people's education to go to college, one of them in our family. I found out that he, paid for other people too. So he wasn't an alcoholic. Now, he was a bartender. One of those jobs was a bartender, but he wasn't a drinker. He kept out. I still got bottles of alcohol at the house that he had. I mean, big old ones. But he never ever drank in front of me. Nothing. Not even a glass of water.
Well, so now let me ask this question here, because it has been brought up that a lot of men feel like women are too masculine or taking on too many leadership roles and not being submissive. So now we said Grandma Debbie owned this land, owned this property, owned this, you know, the shop next door. She owned the property for the church. She owned this, so obviously this is hers, you know. And so she was able to handle her situation with or without Grandpa Kurt getting a job and performing like he needed to do as to provide for the family, or he didn't have to take accountability.
I think it's more of the way that they were raised by their parents at the time. Everybody had a role, meaning the man had a role, the woman had a role. Understandably, that I with the same exact thing is I just learned that Grandma owned all that property. I've never known that. I do know that basically some of it was given to the church as the reason why. Now, if you were to go,
right. She bought the property from the church because the church used to own her house.
No.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
No.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Yes, they did.
Before they did.
You act like I don't know what I'm talking about.
We want to preserve our history because we do,
right.
You know, things get changed as things go on and on and on.
They do.
Yes,
they
we
do.
want to continue to have the discussion and the opinion to find out that actually what we're talking, you know, what our lineage is, and
something might have happened
in the storyline, and preserve that.
Okay, what I'll say in defense of my sister and my brother. Okay, both of them come from. I'm the baby. We come from 3 different times.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
With that being that as it is, everybody has an opinion about something, or somebody learned about something. Somebody learned differently than the other person.
Absolutely.
But you also have to understand, James, that even though you know something, guess what? The majority of the time is for information purposes. Information went from grandma to mom to possibly Dorita. Maybe Jeanette, maybe Dorothy. But I guarantee you, any other information that had that Viola Johnson knew, Dorita probably knew, because mama depended upon Dorita. Mama didn't depend that much on us, right? That's why majority of the time is Reggie could always go on his bicycle, go about what he's doing. I ain't worried about him. James can do whatever he wanted to do. I ain't worried about him.
No, it didn't work like that. It worked like that.
Oh, so what you're trying to tell me now is basically mom treated you differently than me?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Why?
Different than you and Zachary.
Why?
Why? Because I'm gonna tell you, honestly, I was a baby kid. I was a bad kid. I wasn't no bed of roses. I was a bad kid, but I learned. And that's how I learned, being bad.
So let me ask you.
I know stuff I know.
Let me ask you questions.
Who, me or James?
James. So James.
It depends on what it is, because I might not want to answer that question.
You ain't got to.
Might not want to hear the answer.
I'm just asking a question. The question is, did mama ever help you with anything, even after you said you were a baby kid and bad? In any way, did mom?
You want me to be honest? You want me to be honest, right?
Yes, I want you to be honest. Did mom ever help you with anything?
She loved me. She didn't help me. She loved me. She did. Listen to what I'm saying now. This is my love from her. She knew that I was capable of taking care of myself, just like I am now. I don't need nobody's help. And when I do need it,
question was. So you're
saying
the men in the group. Your question was
correct
about grandpa.
man to man perspective. is this something that comes about when you're interacting with other men? Do these type of attributes that you saw, whether it's your grandfather or your father's, do you think that you sort of interact with other men in the same way?
Go ahead, Jay.
Like Mom said, she made a difference in, you know, that Uncle Johnny made a different choice in who he was as a man.
Go ahead, Jay.
Like Mom said, she made a difference in, you know, that Uncle Johnny made a different choice in who he was as a man and how he interacted with other men and how he interacted with other women and including his wife.
Even
Yes.
Dad, even Dad's
Yes.
Sonny believed in taking care of home and being with that one woman. So it's about the generation. I think it has a lot to do with, because he was not raised by a man, if I'm correct.
Thank you. Okay. He was raised by his mama and his 5 sisters.
So that's what I'm saying. It has a lot to do with principles and
Yes.
environment, because
Yes.
I made a choice to be different from my mom and the way I was raised. I made a choice to be different. My mom was married one time until her death.
Woohoo!
And that's good for women of that era. But it took her a while to get to that point.
Okay.
Well, it's almost just, it's the same exact thing, since we all 3 of us came from the same woman. No matter what she taught us, eventually you had to sit out there, go on your own and learn from what she taught you to make it better or to make it worse. Yes, after you get your foundation, you move on from your foundation and you end up being whatever you choose to be. Good, bad, or ugly. The same exact way I'll sit there and tell James, I'll tell Jeanette, I'll tell Dorothy, and I tell Dorita, and I'm the only one who's been married for more than 30 years to the same exact woman. Yeah. That I can't. Now, most men won't sit there and tell you, but I already know, even if I went out there and worked, and I worked for up to 35 and a half years straight without a break. If I include the 4 years I worked for the American Red Cross, it's 40 years straight that I have worked.
And the choice he made was to be loyal. Him and his wife, Belinda, made a choice to be loyal no matter what. And that has to be a part, you know, through thick and thin.
Yes. I know I cannot survive without her. Literally. There's not even a figure of speech. Does not even matter. Literally.
And they love each other. They care for each other. You know, if I had made the choice for someone who would care for me, I could probably be married for 30 years, but
yes,
because I took a lot.
Oh no, I'm not saying it.
So,
I am not
let me ask this.
Yes.
So as you can see, there might have been a context of, or like I'm learning, like that Grandma W was married 3 times. My grandma Violet was only married once. And, you know, many times you would think that back in that time, if there was a household with a mom and a dad in it, they were married, they stayed married, and, you know, such as my big dad and my big mom, and, you know, some of my uncles, they're still married to this day to their spouse. And nowadays men are what? Illogical, emotional, whereas women are sometimes a little bit more logical and non-emotional.
You're gonna get Reggie in trouble.
Okay.
I am not married.
I mean, we are, you know, this is different ways that how many, you know.
Since I am not married, I think it's individual choices. I think each, okay, because I look at my children. Some are married, some are not. But every single one of them have been married. Now, you can't control who your spouse is. You pick them, but you can't control their actions or reactions to you. So you either have to choose to work together no matter the circumstances, or you don't. Reggie and Belinda work together. For me, I went so far and then I said, no, I'm not going to do it anymore. I can't. I just can't. I can't live to do this. But our circumstances are different. So it's different for every, you can't make a general statement when it comes to individuals. All of us are responsible in one way for our actions. Ooh, and I need a glass of wine too.
Okay.
That means you're talking a lot.
Which means, Nikki, basically, yes. I will sit there, I'll be the first to tell you. That's the brains of this operation, meaning my wife.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm willing to live with. Because it makes me better at what I do.
Same thing with David and Shaipu. They've been married. They have a 17-year-old daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And they were married. They've been married over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been together longer than that.
Yes.
Again, it's a choice. They have their ups and downs, but they love each other. And he,
as a situation where you have roles. So this is a role that you are going to have as the woman, and this is the role that I'm going to have as the man, and this is it. There's no compromise. Or is there? To make it lasting, is there one? Is there sometimes that you are, like I say, the passenger?
But then I call that a learning curve. Then you learn from your experience and you move on and you keep searching.
Are you in a relationship right now, Uncle James?
No.
Okay.
But I talk to a lot
Reggie,
of women.
Holler at us, Uncle Reggie. Holler at us. Holler at us, Uncle Reggie.
Go ahead.
Say what now?
Holler at us, Uncle Reggie. I'm going to get your perspective on this.
Well, actually, you have to remember there's a number of years between me and James.
Mm-hmm.
The woman who raised us, like I said, we can both have one woman in front of us, which is our mom, and we both got different opinions. We both got different opinions about that person.
Absolutely.
I know when it came to my opinions, when I came to mom, literally, yes, she would sit here and be in charge. Literally. Now, and as usual, like most moms back in those times, if you break my rules, there's consequences. Right. But I know the fact of the matter is, if it's, and the reader will probably tell you this, I have never seen a woman that sat here would sell everything, meaning her own life, even if her kids thought that she wasn't doing right. That woman would sell her whole entire life to make sure she was okay. All of us. Now, I understand, like I said, we got different opinions. I understand that. Now, getting back to my wife, literally speaking, because she's younger than I am. That's a lie. Let me try again. She's older than I am, but she's a well-developed person because the environment I came from basically is the same environment she came from, meaning I'm a retiree, she's a vet. She's had to deal with men as well as she's dealt with women. All I had to do was deal with men in the military.
right.
So when it came down to sitting here making sure, even though when she got out of the Army, to making sure everything was straight, while I was working, guess what? Yeah, I was working outside the house, but she was the one who was working in the house. Mm-hmm. So she did virtually everything I did until I retired. Then she made me take over everything, which is what she should do, I hope. But if she don't, she's my backbone. If I can't handle it, she's right there.
See, that's
so I understand.
That's the kind of woman I'm looking for. I just ain't found her yet.
Okay.
You have to
Even with
present
that,
yourself as one first. You have to
well, you
present
know,
yourself as one first.
yes, because somewhere along the line, James, I'll sit here saying, literally, the quality of the woman that you're messing with is not up to your standard. Quit messing with her. Because all they're gonna do is sit. All they're gonna do is pick your pockets. They ain't gonna do nothing else for you.
I already know about all that. I told you. I told you. I had it. It's called trial and tribulation. That's what it's called. You know.
I understand there's a trial and tribulation for everything, no matter how many women you go out with.
That's
But,
right.
but guess what?
Life is the same thing.
At 60 something years old, which is what we both are, I tired of running the streets. That's the one reason why I've been married for more than 30 years.
That's good.
Tired. I've done it. Or as we would say, as men would say, I got tired of sowing my royal oats. Okay. Now I'm well beyond that. And I'm glad I caught my wife at the time I did. James, if that's what you want to do what you do. Hopefully it will not take you another 60 years to run into Miss Right.
Right.
But again, there's only one person that's going to tell you if you're doing right, and that's you. Nobody else.
Right.
We can all give opinions, but at times, even for, and I'll say it, we can all give opinions, but opinions are like buttholes in this family. Everybody's got one, and at times, nobody wants to listen to anything else.
So
Huh?
let Al lead me say this. I don't deal in percentages. So that's just me. I believe that everyone contributes everything to a household. And I have to tell you this. I loved a man who could cook and clean just as well as I did. And when we worked together, it was the most beautiful relationship. And he was my friend. But we're not married, obviously. And that means that we had some flaws that we couldn't go past. You know, there was something missing in us. But I'm gonna be honest with you, that man can cook, he can clean, and we did it together. It wasn't, hey, it's your turn to wash dishes, and if he cooked, I got in there and cleaned the kitchen up. No big deal. You know, or sometimes when I was sick, he took care of me. And when he was sick, I took care of him. And I know that's what Reggie and Belinda does. They ain't sitting out, got a tally sheet saying, hey, okay, you did this today, and I did that. You just do it. You know it needs to be done. If the floor needs to be vacuumed, you know it needs to be done. Even if you got in the door, she may be laying down sick or whatever, and you just say, oh, well, this needs to be done. She needs to eat. You go and fix it.
And do you think that somehow we're missing that in today's, youth, in relationships? I mean, here we have young women being abused at a lot younger age in relationships with men or with women. Women
Man too busy sitting down playing video games.
Say what?
We didn't hear you.
Down playing video games. He's not paying attention to his life. Because he has something else that occupies his time.
But even at that, if he had, it's about balance. You know, I like to play little games on my phone or whatever, or
it doesn't stop life though.
But it's about balance. I still know that there's things that need to be done in the home. I still, and he does too. I mean, even the person that I knew who was like that, that man loves sports. Monday night was football.
Yes.
You can, the weekend, but I'm telling you, during the week, he still did his part. Go to work every day and come back and clean and cook, and so it's about balance. It's not when we start assigning roles, which today, unfortunately, that's what happens. Instead of everybody contributing to the household, you start, oh no, you're supposed to do this, and you,
Because a lot of the things now is saying that women are, they too masculine, or they not submissive enough, and they don't, don't know how to cook, don't know how to clean, but neither do you. I mean, I don't know.
I have witnessed young men. I have witnessed young men rise, get up, clean the house, fix the dinner, ask you what you need. I'm like, you ain't even 30 and you doing that. So I was run out to the store today, and a young man came out of the store with this young woman. Do you know he went over there and opened the car door? I said, I did a double take. I said, really? I said, do they do that anymore? He did. And this is the thing, it was at a gas station, a young man at a gas station. He came out of the store with her, opened the door, she got in the car, and he went back in the store. He wanted to see that this woman was taken care of. That's what people do. It's not about signing roles. It's about seeing that each other's needs are taken care of. That's what I see with you. That's what I see with Shaipu and David. That's what I see with others who take the time to be serious about their role. And it's not about who does what. It's all about we do this together. We're a joint unit. And things don't work well when you start assigning roles.
No, it doesn't work well when you figure out you're in charge of everything.
Right.
It doesn't
and it
work
don't matter
well.
about the money. It don't.
No.
It don't matter about the money. It's
Not
not
about
that.
the money.
When you start focusing on that, then it's a problem too. So as long as everything gets taken care of and you can still enjoy life together, who cares how much money you make?
Yeah.
Got that right.
Okay,
Got that.
wonderful.
Well,
Yes, I got just one last, and then we good.
till the next time. See, we got to say something for later.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Know her. I know her. And I knew when the man across the street, when something wasn't right with him. You have to know the village that you live in. You really do. Even sometimes you have to look it up online. It'll tell you online who lives at the house next door. If they have something, a felony or something, something, they'll tell you what it is. But you have to know your village before you can feel safe. Because I wouldn't feel safe because I don't know. I wouldn't feel safe just letting my grandchildren be outside without me watching them. I wouldn't do that. Which when we was kids, we went outside all day long and played. Wasn't nobody worried with nothing. We'd be outside playing with the Richmonds on one side and kids down the street, and around the corner, we knew all of them. But it's not the same today.
Oh, it's different. And the reason why is when we had our house, Mom, since she was the one in charge of the house, her main thing, I can't speak for James or Dorita, but I know mine was, if the light hit you on that pole, your butt's in trouble. Literally, there's no point.
We all knew that.
So you understood your ground rules. Second thing is, basically, if you decided that you wanted to be grown and you messed up somewhere, somebody out there.
That's a hit.
Yes, that meant somebody out there knew that somebody knew that they had a right to beat your butt. And then guess what? After they got to doing it, I'm calling Violet. Lord knows once you mention me personally, once you mentioned that name, that was the slowest walk I ever took in my life.
Absolutely.
Because I knew what was going to happen when I went home. Because I didn't do something I was supposed to do.
Woo! Don't come back with that flimsy thing either.
Huh?
And don't come back with that little flimsy thing, or you gonna.
No, please. I sit there and tell people, the way I was raised, thank God I was, because I'm not a serial killer and all the rest of that. What I mean by that is this. Today, if a mother or a father was to do some of the discipline that Violet Johnson does, they be in jail right now.
That's what I'm saying.
But the children today are subject to more violence.
Oh,
Today.
Lord help me.
Television, everything. It was never a time when a child would come shoot up a school.
No.
Hey, in our fights, we draw a line. You cross the line, you know, put a stick up, knock that stick off.
Thank you.
It wasn't, nobody carried a gun and shot 50 people.
Well, you know, today.
Even though we had bullies in school.
Yes.
I was always bullied. But you know what? I'm fine from it. It didn't make me want to kill everybody in the school because I was bullied. So something's just not right.
Well, all you got to remember, what I try to tell people, all you got to remember today is a ghost gun. You don't have to have one. You just have to have enough money to buy one. You ain't got to train on it. All you got a point to do is shoot. That's it. These days. Yeah. It's real bad. And I don't understand why it is, but
and the parents are contributing. That young boy that shot up the kids in Texas.
Yes.
He was bullied by one of those children. And instead of the parents seeing the parents for a solution, they bought him a gun.
Yes.
And he killed 3 people.
Wow.
Yes.
That's not a solution. Why would parents do that? That's not a solution.
Well, that's just like the child, the 17-year-old who was, whatever school he was in, he was checked because of these issues of bringing stuff to school he wasn't supposed to bring. So another time they checked him, what happened was basically he had a gun in his pocket, he shot both teachers, he ran, and then all of a sudden, next thing you notice that he didn't kill himself. So sometimes there's no consequences to what you do. So
that didn't happen in our time. We respected.
Yes.
We did respect them. Yeah.
Check.
I got paddled one time. She hit me one time, and she never had a problem out of me. I don't even know why. I don't even remember why, but I had no problem.
None.
And so now I believe everyone here is also now grandparents, and you've watched the context of how your children have relationships with men, have relationships with other women, and also the relationships that they have with their children. And what things do you think, yes, they got it right in evolving, and what things do you think, okay, you're looking for trouble, you know?
Well, let's consider that on our next episode.
Oh, Lord, help me. Are you trying to say something, Dorita?
All right.
Look. Your wife flipped the switch.
I don't want to my Oowl Theory group. So I want to make sure my elders are well rested for the next conversation.
Oh,
so
Lord, help me.
All coming along. And
who was that just walked by?
That's Michaela and Mimi. Yes, my granddaughter.
Yeah, bitch, she's gotten.
Oh, she don't look happy at all.
See y'all later.
Say bye-bye.
Say bye-bye.
Uncle James. I know. You didn't say words.
Huh?
I said you see Michaela got a baby.
I see. See? All they doing is making me look old.
Making you look.
They making me
okay.
look old.
Yeah, she.
Thank you for joining us at Oowl Theory, where I'm taking the opinion of my wise lineage and sharing it with all of you. Next time on Owl Lineage, we'll be having a discussion about generational wealth, lineage, as well as legacy, along with American culture. Is this Black culture? And what is our youth doing today? Until next time, take care. Peace.
Do you know Texas is the #1 state for renewable energy? Have you heard of American Solar Wind? Well, you should. Let us show you how you can save up to 40% on your energy while helping the environment. For more information, check us out at AmericanSolarOne.com. Give us a call at 817-263-0000 or send us an email at ql@AmericanSolarOne.com.